My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Alrighty, it's currently 8:53 a.m. right now. This is the Ontario Town Square where the entity is keeping the fake sun, and this is ongoing surveillance by the people of the state. They're surveilling the state as well. They're stalking under the fake sun that's over me in Pomona, California, while I'm inside of the Pomona Regional Transit Center. Those are the demons that are stalking day and night, obsessing over me using their helicopters, and stalking, engaging in what is criminal summoning while they're gang stalking with the people of the state. Their mental illness is proven through the specific environment where they are stalking. And they're doing so on the roads and the highways. They're engaged in federal stalking in particular. Prison, while they they are engaging in what is criminal surveillance, masquerading as law enforcement, and they're engaged in surveillance. They're not coincidentally at that intersection while I'm sitting here under a fake sun that's supposed to be in Pomona, while the entity is engaged in what is monitoring my communication devices and monitoring me. This is mental illness in concert with the state. You're looking at third-party conduct and state conduct, which is not coincidentally happening while I stand up to capture the fake sun, which is intentionally placed over me. That's literally the surveillance by the Nephilim who are driving around in Ontario police vehicles, stalking me in Ontario police helicopters, doing so with the population of demons that are gang stalking. This is not going to be outside of the window of the Pomona Regional Transit Center, where Union Pacific is the guise of what is audible activity and sensational activity. That's terrorism by demons. And they're also doing so while that impossible light inside of that window of that train station. And then I get on the bus in Pomona and I come back to Ontario, where this fake sun, where it is now, is on the opposite side of where it was located at the B&G Plaza, where I am facing at the B&G Plaza. I'm facing this direction, which this fake sun is advanced beyond where it is. It's at what is when I'm arriving back toward this toward the city of Ontario after going through Montclair on Hope Boulevard. This is the entity keeping a fake sun. So you're looking at all that documentation, and then you're mindful of daily basis where Taylor is gang stalking at OVITT Family Community Library, and she still is. This is that pattern of conduct. This is an entity that's engaging in what is monitoring while that you're looking at the evidence of mental illness, and the entity covering up the fake sun and showing it, like I stated, is going to be in the substance of what is a court case regarding a population proven to be targeting one person in a supernatural environment. And a gang stalking government is practicing what is satanic means of surveillance for the fake sun to be moving east and be over this entrance while I'm documenting what is the evidence of Taylor gang stalking me as an employee at that venue, is the evidence which is serving to prosecute the state of California. There's no sun that's in Pomona, California. That was the P.O.C. under the fake sun. It is currently 8:55 a.m. This is the pattern of conduct at 224 North Euclid Avenue, and as you know, this is that clock, the infamous property where the fake sun is still here. And where is it? It is literally on this side where the city of Ontario is maintaining a fake sun over me while I'm at this wall, while I've documented for years the gang stalking conduct. That's how I have Patty of the Ontario Police gang stalking at the Ontario Town Square in the morning. Patty is gang stalking at the Ontario Town Square at 3 in the afternoon, where no time of year, no passage of time is going to remove that evidence of proof of surveillance by a population, and that population is the Nephilim. This is P.O.C. It's currently 8:56 a.m. It's 9:28 a.m. This is documentation of the entity engaged in criminal summoning and stalking by the to-be disbanded Ontario Police Department. They're stalking by helicopter, and this is based on their fear of what it is that I am documenting. And the mentally ill, who are of the type that eat their own feces, engage in more psychopathic and criminal activity, which is speaking to more and more detriment to Mike Lorenz and that terrorist agency that's engaging in more terrorism while it's being exposed. That's the entity that's going to federal prison for terrorizing American citizens. Hence the helicopter activity at 9:29 a.m. while the entity is keeping the fake sun over me while I'm coming from Pomona to Ontario, P.O.C. Those are the feces eaters, the Ontario Police Department. And they're doing so under the fake sun. This is preceding the video documentation. The Latino male gang stalking sitting at the bench right in front of me. Heavy set. Taylor was gang stalking in the video that I captured. That's federal prison. She's doing so with also in that video while that same agency that's engaged in surveilling me, obsessing over me, is stalking at the intersection of B Street and Euclid, where I also have them stalking me by helicopter at that same intersection by helicopter. The entities flying over the top of my head, I captured that in images, and they also fly through what is the fake sun that's in a position that is impossible with regard to what I'm capturing at a later time yesterday, getting off of what is Omnitrans that's still en route from Pomona through Montclair to Ontario, where I'm facing the B&G Plaza, the opposite direction of the Ontario Town Square, where I'm showing you in that video the fake sun that is in front of me is not behind me. That's why it's not on the camera lens. It's not in the video as I turn my back to that fake sun. The entity has the fake sun over me at the Ontario Town Square, where yesterday at a later time, I'm still not in Ontario yet, The entity has the fake son in the position that it's not in as I capture video. That's where the entity is stalking me by helicopter. Mike Lorenz is being prosecuted for the criminal pattern of conduct regarding this evidence of ongoing surveillance with the intent to obstruct justice, still conspiring my murder while I'm maintaining an investigation, proving that he was engaged in targeting me in the first place as an entire pattern of conduct. And every kidnapper is going to federal prison. That includes the kidnappers at the Ontario Town Square engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct like they are now. This is what they were doing on September 28, 2025, conspiring my murder, targeting me, stalking, and manufacturing information, making it up in real time as Vivanco and Joseph Velasquez and Joseph Valencia, I believe his last name is, and Durham engaging with his battery, which I documented, while that entity stalking like it is now. All three of those demons are going to prison. So is the Securitas security guard. So are the serial stalkers that are engaging in surveillance at this Ontario Town Square. And that's how that ongoing analysis and that prosecution is going to go. The entity is engaged in what is an outdated tactic, and that's because they are, in fact, engaged in eating their feces. They're mentally ill, and they are incapable of recognizing the fact with regard to their maniacal psychopathic disorder that the more that they engage in criminal activity, the more that it is documented, which is establishing their criminal pattern of conduct, establishing why they have been engaged in criminal defamation upon stalking me in the first place, and they're going to prison for that. And so are what are revealed domestic terrorist leaders like Mike Lorenz, for whose criminal pattern of conduct this agency is engaging in. This is why the OVITT Family Community Library, Sean Thrasher, the employees at the venue like Taylor, engaging what is obsessing over me, stalking me before she starts her job at that library where that fake son is documented, still present over 8 hours later, in alignment to me, where a bunch of feces eaters are pacing all around me inside of that library, flying over the top of my head and stalking me with the resources of a police department, is the evidence of domestic terrorism for which that agency is going to be disbanded because of their pattern of kidnapping me. Doing so while they've been engaged in targeting, which is pointing to the targeting by Jason Isaac Fields, by the corrupt courts that have permitted theft of my property, theft of my money, keeping me in this impoverished state where I remain subject to this pattern of conduct. The entity is going to be subject to disbanding in federal prison. It is the mental illness, including while they are engaging in stalking me in those incredible manners using helicopters like we're in Baghdad. It is literally terrorism, war tactics against an American citizen that documented it, however, and they're going to prison, including that feces eater that's stalking in that helicopter. It's pursuant to real-time surveillance on my device. It's 9:33 a.m. at the 224 North Euclid Avenue, Ontario Town Square, where the fake son's in the position where you look at the video where I get off of the Omnitrans bus yesterday morning. And let me recite that time to you. I get off the Omnitrans bus yesterday morning, which is November 11, 2020. November 12, 2025 at 9:46 in the afternoon, 9:31, which is, it's 9:33. I'm still in Montclair. I'm at Ramona and Holt Boulevard in Montclair, California, and I'm showing the fake son that's covered up. I'm showing the fact that I'm on public transportation. I'm showing the fact that I'm not in the city of Ontario, where that fake son travels as I do. That's why it's outside of the passenger side of the Omnitrans bus, which is in the exact opposite direction of where it is now, while I am standing at the wall at 224 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity is flying over the top of my head, targeting, flying over the top of my head where the impossible, the fake sun is already present ahead of schedule, where the natural environment would speak to that's not happening, nor is it happening at the same time. And that's speaking to targeting by that demon that flies over me and around me and does so while they are aware of the fact that I'm documenting. That's, in fact, what inspires the helicopter activity at this point in time, which is their pattern of conduct. That's what they did, stalking me by helicopter at the Ontario Town Square upon return. What is November 11, 2025, as I'm publishing the podcast. That's what they did at the Starbucks at 111 North Vineyard Avenue on November 11, 2025, while I'm publishing video of the Ontario police stalking me at that Starbucks, stalking me by helicopter, flying over the top of my head at that Starbucks where they engaged in criminal summoning. That's Jay True, who's going to prison, and that is also Rodriguez. They're going to prison, and that's the pattern of conduct by this agency. They're going to federal prison, period, even if they hadn't engaged in criminal summoning, and I document them gang stalking by criminal summoning across the street at Spires or Folk Inn or Motel 6. It's federal prison because they're engaging in that pattern of conduct. Those idiots came in my face and communicated a threat to kidnap. While they're stalking, you're going to prison.
You're going to federal prison, and so are the people of the state. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:35 a.m. The fake sun's over me at the Ontario Town Square in a manner that is proving targeting by the entire city of Ontario, while the fake sun is not in Montclair. It's, in fact, over me the next day, speaking to that pattern of conduct where the inconsistent environment is not the natural environment, and it is tailored to me, what I do as I do it and where I do it. This is P.O.C. It's 9:35 a.m. This is the fourth time engaged in criminal summoning. It's 9:38 a.m. While the fake sun is in the position that it is not in yet, while I'm aboard Omnitrans and I don't arrive until 9:46 and the fake sun already has it ahead of schedule. That's the entity that's engaged in gang stalking me. That's, again, the removal of the gang stalking fire department, gang stalking police department, gang stalking airport, as they've conspired my murder together, and they will, as a matter of prosecution and justice, be removed from existence altogether. And it's also relevant to the mental illness that is shared by a population. And this is the Nephilim. As I am prosecuting the state, this is the prosecution, the gutting out of the Nephilim that are in these positions of government in Ontario, California in particular. This is all exposing Paul Leon, who is a domestic enemy. It's 9:39 a.m. The entity sounded sirens, turned the sirens off. That didn't stop me. The entity starts sounding by helicopter, so I start documenting that, and that doesn't stop, especially while I document it. And then the entity sounds sirens again while I'm still going to persist with my documentation, which I always do. And this is relevant to demons that are gang stalking, who are the people of the state. They're going to prison. As I'm documenting systematic stalking, they're doing so in concert with the state to commit murder. That's why they're going to prison. All right? They're not just stalking, which is bad enough. And it's also very mentally sick to stalk as a whole population, everybody, and that's exactly what the Nephilim do. These are the feces eaters. These feces eaters have government means of identifying them, and they're going to prison for conspiring murder with the government while serially engaging in what is surveillance, okay? And that's what they're doing at the Ontario Town Square while the entity is stalking. That's relevant to mental illness that is and criminal conduct by LAPD. I continuously remind you about the murder that agency committed. They're engaged in the same pattern of conduct in the state of California, in Los Angeles, where Karen Bass is also a domestic enemy, maintaining criminal surveillance in concert with all of the citizens of that city, of that county. And Los Angeles Police Department are engaged in surveillance as they sound their sirens, not ignorant about those, including those that are engaged in what is riding a skateboard in the street, like that young man is. And the demons are engaging in what is light activity, audible activity, and doing so with regard to the purpose to run him over while he is in the middle of the street, which is supposed to create the illusion that he is being reckless, that he is being negligent, that he is assuming some harm to himself, while the police are doing their duties, rushing and engaging in what is necessarily violating the ordinary traffic laws and not intentionally running into him, while they have the authority to violate those traffic laws because by virtue of sounding their sirens. In Ontario, they're sounding their sirens while they're monitoring. They're sounding their sirens while they're monitoring my vagina. They're sounding their sirens out of fear because of what they're criminally surveilling on my devices. They're sounding their sirens with specific knowledge of what I am doing, who I am, and where I'm located. They're sounding their sirens as demons that are monitoring, not only physically, but they're monitoring online, and they're monitoring under a fake sun. That is giving you the information regarding what the Los Angeles Police Department is doing amongst that population that is sharing in this criminal system. I lived in Los Angeles, and they were monitoring me as well. So I also not only know this as I'm giving you the same analysis as you are analyzing the demonic, you are also analyzing the law and prosecuting their criminal activity, which also happens to be demonic. I am also one that have been subject to the criminal pattern of conduct by the Los Angeles Police Department. They are feces eating, vagina monitoring, light slinging gargoyles. And they're engaged in demonic activity while they sound those sirens. So that is, they know exactly where you at and what you're doing before they hit you with their vehicle. It was the P.O.C. It was criminal summoning, just like the entity is criminally misusing these emergency vehicles in Ontario, California, for which they're going to be stripped of them and their positions. All right, these agencies, the airport, the fire department, and the police department committed kidnapping together while they sought to criminally defame. The fire department, the airport, the police department are all being removed. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:42 a.m. the fake sun is still not yet in Ontario. Well, it's in Ontario, but it's not yet. I'm getting off the bus capturing video as I arrive at the intersection of Plum and Holt. Not the square. Fake sun would be behind my back in that video. The entity's engaging in what is the pattern of conduct, and science is going to put terrorists where they belong. The mentally ill in the padded rooms and physical restraints where they belong. Where feces eaters belong. Where stalkers belong. Okay? It is currently, again, 9:43 a.m. P.O.C. You're stalking about the fact that you hate girls while you're gang stalking? Go ahead and speak it louder. Because that's what gangsters do. They eat their feces and they make ambiguous threats while they're cowards keeping their back to you, gang stalking with a government, spending millions of dollars on stalking me because you're all scared at the same time. Speak it louder. Because you're going to prison. Speak it louder about how you hate girls as your audible activity, Satan. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, these are the demons that are going to prison while they're engaging in what is harassment, and they commit kidnapping for harassment. That's what Durham and the Securitas security guard and Joseph Valencia Velasquez, I documented him September 20th, whatever that puppet's name is. He's forgettable, but his criminal activity is at the forefront of his prosecution. And these are the demons that are cowards, talking about you hit girls, but you have not busted a grape yet. So I'm going to sit here and wait. I'll sit right here and wait. This is P.O.C. The entity stalking by plane while they're uttering, vocalizing threats. These are the cowards that eat their own feces. And those are the puppets that are under a fake sun. That's the mentally ill. You don't take their audible activity seriously. You document it, though, because they're going to be locked up behind the things that are coming out of their face. These are demons that are fearful. I'm going to capture a screen recording to put all of them in prison right now. That's what you're actually scared about. While boys talking about they hit girls, while I prosecute demons. Let's hear what else the gangsters have to say. These are the ones that like to play loud rap music while they're being the most effeminate males that you've ever seen in your life. And by the way, it's currently 9:45 a.m. where the fake sun is in the position where it's not on video. On video yesterday at 9:46 a.m., the fake sun's on the passenger side of the bus. Like I stated, you'll see it clearly. And as I get off the bus and I capture that video, you're looking at the engineer light that's on that bus. It's based on the position of the fake sun. Everybody on that bus is gang stalking. The entity has the fake sun on the Ontario Town Square while I'm at the wall, and I face what is east to capture that fake sun, where demons are uttering, vocalizing threats while you're monitoring in furtherance of murder, and your audible activity is a threat to engage in harm, and it's specific to me because you're monitoring me under what is science that proves the fact that you are a gang stalking, feces eating, actually you're a punk that's gang stalking as a group. That's how much of a thug you are, that you need a whole gang of people to keep me under surveillance. And I am documenting the fact that you are specifically threatening that target individual. Science is speaking to who they are speaking to. Science is speaking to who they are stalking. Science is speaking to the conspiracy to murder in that environment, and you're doing so while the government is stalking by planes and helicopters. You're going to prison. Not only that, the entity is engaging in that while you're mindful of the everything that you're analyzing. Andy's Burgers, that's facing the I'm facing south, and the entity has the fake sun in the direction which is the exact opposite in that video. The fake sun is already in that position, and yesterday you would look at the two, and the two are happening at the same time. That's the impossible, okay? And it's also impossible that you are actually a man, or that you're actually any sort of strong, mighty person to fear while you're gang stalking. It's the act of the cowardice. All the demons together couldn't put their brains together and outthink me. That's what's over here uttering what is cowardly audible activity, and that's because he's actually shivering in his boots because he knows he's going to prison. It's 9:47 a.m. under the fake sun, where Brightview is threatening me. The Saris Regis group is threatening me. The Ontario Police Department is threatening me. Carlos, that's sitting right next to him, is threatening me. Taylor, that's gang stalking on video again, is threatening me. That's the OVITT Family Community Library that's threatening me. Metro 102 and everybody that lives there. The 280 North Limit Apartments and everyone that lives there. The hundreds of people that are gang stalking on Euclid Avenue, on B Street, on C Street, at the Turn Circle, at the Wells Fargo, they're all threatening me together. This is the city of Ontario, the entity that's threatening. While a fool opens their mouth, gang stalking as an entity, vocalizing a threat that is not ambiguous. It's speaking specifically as an entity while you are stalking on behalf of that entity. That's the entity that's stalking me by helicopter. That's also why they go to federal prison, because they're stalking with the police, as you understand how that pattern of conduct works. This is the entity that vocalizes those sorts of sentiments because they're embarrassed and because they've been outmaneuvered by one person. P.O.C. And that is Christ Jesus, by the way. It's 9:48 a.m.
Alrighty, it is currently, as you can see, it's Thursday, November 13th, 2025. It's 9:51 a.m. And this documentation, I just want to be clear, this is the P.O.C, the pattern of conduct. And this is ongoing, consistent, ceaseless documentation, real-time documentation, as I'm subject to a real-time criminal pattern of conduct by the U.S. government, the United States government. I'm in California. I'm in the city of Ontario, which is San Bernardino County. I am showing you how the entity's pattern of conduct operates, how it is an ongoing, ceaseless threat to your life, safety, well-being, and as this pattern of conduct has included repeatedly kidnapping me with the agenda to criminally defame my character upon conspiring my murder, that's a threat to my liberty as well. And it is reasonably threatening the liberty of any American citizen that is subject to it. Now, this is documentation juxtaposing the crime scene in Ontario and in Pomona, California, and this is combined with the podcast. So you're going to want to listen to the podcast that I'm documenting before I capture this damning screen recording and all of the criminal acts committed by this entity, while they fear very much the probative value of all of my evidence, even though they don't even know what probative value means. Okay? This is also evidence of the entity that is indeed engaged in surveillance, in addition to this evidence speaking to what is science and scripture that testify to the reality of the fake sun, proving that a government is engaging in criminal surveillance. Okay, this is P.O.C. And like I stated, it is 9:52 a.m. So I am at Ontario Town Square, and the entity is maintaining the fake sun. So this screen recording is showing where the entity has the fake sun as the Ontario Town Square as I arrive, which is relevant to what I documented yesterday, November 12th, 2025, where I'm capturing the video at 8:46 a.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me at the Ontario Town Square as of 7:22 a.m. And so this is just showing you how the entity is keeping the fake sun here at the Ontario Town Square while it's remaining over me on video at 8:46 a.m. And remember, I traveled from Ontario to Pomona aboard Omnitrans, and the entity has the fake sun outside. It's a very exclusive sky space for it to be through the window of that Pomona Regional Transit Center on 100 West Commercial Avenue in Pomona, California, Los Angeles County, while I'm facing a specific direction at a time of day, and you're looking also at the engineer light that's on the floor inside of that train station, while the entity is keeping the fake sun at Ontario Town Square the next day, and it remains there before, during, and after that time. Okay, and this is 7:49 a.m. As you can see, this is 224 North Euclid Avenue at the Ontario Town Square, which you also know has the fake sun at this same address after into sunset, in other words, while I go to Pomona and I show you what is the impossible. That's the purpose of the documentation that I maintain in order to prosecute and expose the Nephilim. The entity has the fake sun, as I'm showing you, at 8:39 a.m. and it does not change regardless of covering it up. This is the significance of what I've been telling you. The entity is engaging in this while they are apprehensive, and by apprehensive, still stalking, covering up and showing the fake sun, covering up and showing the fake sun, and it is that intentional because it's not the natural environment. Okay, so this is the entity that has the fake sun at 8:39 a.m. and this is those who are stalking in that environment. This is Taylor of the OVITT Family Community Library, 215 East C Street, a serial stalker, engaging in that which is relevant to federal prison, and she's doing so with the Ontario Police Department in the video that I will be reviewing. At 8:39 a.m., the fake sun is still present. Okay, that is the sun That's the illusion that the demon-possessed present. That's the sun in the sky space, while it's remaining over me in Pomona as of 8:46 a.m. And it's not going to jump, and it's not simultaneously at both venues over the same person, okay? While I go to different regions to show you that pattern of conduct, this is stalking not just by this third party who is engaging in a method of light activity, the brake lights. Light activity while they're driving where the fake sun is located, which you know is all engineered light. Doing so, which you know, in that parking garage that's filled with engineered light. All of those are forms of impossible light activity while they are stalking as an entire apartment complex as well, while an entity does things such as maintain a whole environment where establishments, neighborhoods, the government, the entity will be prosecuted for stalking, not just through what are people, a population, but through the establishments itself, while businesses like UPS are engaging in the pattern of conduct, okay? This is the entity that has the fake sun at 8:52 a.m. And this is, again, getting to before and after the fake sun is remaining over me and on Pomona, California, okay? And this placement of the fake sun is speaking to what is present while I'm at the same time capturing the fake sun in an exactly opposite location, meaning the video that I captured yesterday at 9:46 a.m., I'm capturing the fake sun in a specific location, and I'll go over that video because the entity is maintaining that environment while they are at the same time maintaining a specific pattern of conduct of stalking in that scientifically impossible environment while they're aware as meaning engaging in terrorism tactics such as stalking by helicopter as I maintain my investigation and capture that documentation. The entity has the fake sun at 8:52 a.m. while the entity is maintaining that fake sun as I'm showing 7:22 to 8:52 a.m. It's over me in Pomona, California at 8:46 on video, and that's the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct and doing so in a manner that is conflicting with what nature would provide for. That's providing what is relevant to regarding the video documentation that I captured today. Today at what is 8:53 a.m. where the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct. The pattern of conduct that I'm gonna go ahead and capture with regard to you're paying attention to what was captured yesterday. And you are also mindful of what it is that's captured today, which would be at or around the same time. That's why I showed you from 7:22. There is no covering up the fake sun that changes the fact that it is equally the fake sun, okay? And the entity is stalking in that environment. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. Alrighty, it's currently 8:53 a.m. right now. This is the Ontario Town Square where the entity is keeping the fake sun, and this is ongoing surveillance by the people of the state. They're surveilling state as well. They're stalking under the fake sun that's over me in Pomona, California, while I'm inside of the Pomona Regional Transit Center. Those are the demons that are stalking day and night, obsessing over me using their helicopters, and stalking, engaging in what is criminal summoning while they're gang stalking with the people of the state. Their mental illness is proven through the specific environment where they are stalking, and they're doing so on the roads and the highways. They're engaged in federal stalking in particular. Prison while they are engaging in what is criminal surveillance, masquerading as law enforcement, and they're engaged in surveillance. They're not coincidentally at that intersection while I'm sitting here under a fake sun that's supposed to be in Pomona, while the entity is engaged in what is monitoring my communication devices and monitoring me. This is mental illness in concert with the state. You're looking at third-party conduct and state conduct, which is not coincidentally happening while I stand up to capture the fake sun, which is intentionally placed over me. That's literally the surveillance by the Nephilim who are driving around in Ontario police vehicles, stalking me in Ontario police helicopters, doing so with the population of demons that are gang stalking. And the population includes that surveillance, just like I stated, is the case. Vocalizing threats of physical harm while you're monitoring me, you're speaking as the state, and you're specifically referring to the target individual whom you are gang stalking. Under the fake sun at 9:29 a.m. before I capture this is what's captured on podcast. This is the entity that's flying over the top of my head, specifically targeting me while the fake sun is in a position that is speaking to what is impossible to coexist with what's over me in a whole different city, a whole different county, through an exclusive sky space. That's the window of the train station at the Pomona Regional Transit Center. This is where the entities engaged in what is stalking me by helicopter with the intent to obstruct justice while I'm showing you that. And not only is this captured at 9:29 a.m. where I'm remaining in Pomona, California, the entity is engaging in what is having this fake sun in a manner that is irreconcilable also with what is still not the case, because I capture the fake sun at 9:46 a.m. That is while the entity is stalking by helicopter. This is what you see here at 9:29 a.m. with an intent to obstruct justice, that is terrorize, intimidate, threaten,
okay? Do so while you are harassing me because you're keeping my ongoing investigation, my evidence captured, which is to protect myself, my liberty, my very life, while you're stalking me as a police department and lying about what you are in my presence for. You're lying about me harassing someone. You're lying about me yelling in the bathroom at anyone. You're lying about the real reason why you're in my face. It's because I'm documenting you conspiring my murder, gang stalking me. That's a threat to your safety. And while I document, the entity engages in stalking me by helicopters, war tactics. Okay, you're going to federal prison for these things, and the entity is doing it while the fake sun's over me at 9:46 a.m. while I'm aboard Omnitrans.
And this was the case the entire time in California. That smell. All right, this is P.O.C. Thank you.
Pay attention to this light activity. Pay attention to the direction of the light activity on the bus as though that's the sun. That's where the direction of that engineer light is appearing on the bus. They're all stalking and monitoring, surveillance. And the fake sun is not outside the driver's side of the window of that bus. That's what you're paying attention to. Because that's where the direction of that fake sun would be if this were the natural environment, which is, by the way, also remaining over me while I am at 9:29 a.m. I'm not even in Ontario yesterday. I am in what is Montclair, capturing the fake sun. While I am in the city of Montclair, that's the Starbucks at 4490 Holt in Montclair, California. I'm at the intersection. The entity's covering up the fake sun. It's moving as I move at the intersection of Holt Boulevard and Ramona. This is where I'm at, Ramona Avenue in Montclair, California, just so that you can see that at 9:31 a.m. This is where the entity has the fake sun ahead of schedule. This is not the natural environment. The entity is not only targeting me by virtue of every time I'm publishing something, what I'm doing on my devices, you're flying over the top of my head while you are stalking necessarily in doing so. You're also stalking while you're flying in circles around me. You're also proven to be stalking where science proves that you are targeting as that specific environment that surrounds me and follows me reveals. And this is the Nephilim that are stalking as a police department. This is the entity that's doing so ahead of schedule of what the natural environment would dictate. Okay? The entity is keeping this fake sun over me while I'm in Montclair yesterday, while in Ontario, while the entity is keeping my device under surveillance. They're gang stalking me in Ontario, where that fake sun remains as of 7:22 a.m. That's the P.O.C. in and of itself, outside of going out of your way to target me by helicopter. War tactics, threatening my life and safety, because I'm maintaining this ongoing investigation. While you're vocalizing threats about punching a girl, you'll refer to my podcast to get context about what it is that I'm referring to, while the entity that is gang stalking is engaging in what is threatening audible activity with the intent to obstruct justice, when in reality, you're not going to bust a grape. You're not going to do anything. And anything that you do engage in, you're going to prison for it. And the entity has engaged in that. This fake sun is outside of the passenger side of the bus, which is mutually exclusive to being over the Ontario Town Square behind my back, which is what you'll see on this video as I get off.
Off the sun, and it's not sunlight. Also, the entity has this light source over this B&B Plaza as a matter of history. Sunset, Andy's Burgers, Shiro's Liquor, and destroying it. Paul Leon's active. They're still going to be prosecuted. 1302445 bus 1333, and the fake sun remains here, even though it travels with me to Pomona. Okay, that's why it was over me in this manner through the window of the Pomona Regional Transit Center, which is never going to be, and this is not, over or adjacent to or anywhere near the Ontario Town Square, where the airport, by definition, by the support of science, is not in this direction. The sun is not ubiquitous, in other words. You see it in this direction. It is not behind me, in other words. It's not simultaneously at the Ontario Town Square. It's also not simultaneously remaining at the ARCO, all those venues that are on this side, on the opposite side of the Metro 102 apartments. That's what this is. On the opposite side is the Ontario Town Square, where the entity is hovering over the 280 North Limit apartments over there, flying diagonally northwest over the Ontario Square, while the entities kept keeping the fake sun. You're looking at what was documented where the entity engaged in criminal summoning at the OVITT Family Community Library, 8:38 a.m. I walked back to the Ontario Town Square. This is where the entity is maintaining plane activity.
Alrighty, that's the entity that is indeed stalking in real time under what is the fake sun that is here, while the Ontario International Airport, that has no terminals 2 and 4, having takeoffs that hover behind the square, doing so while the fake sun's behind my back in the video that I captured yesterday, and today it's here as of 7:22 a.m. remaining here, not in the city of Pomona, speaking to the city of Pomona targeting, and so is the city of Ontario. That's the state's pattern of conduct, and targeting through the corrupt law enforcement, which Mike Lorenz and every kidnapper of the Ontario police, including Jay Chu and Rodriguez, they're going to federal prison for this pattern of conduct in furtherance of murder. The conspiracy to commit murder, where the people of the state share in that. All right, the conspicuous stalking, the ongoing criminal surveillance is committed in furtherance of that murder. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:04 a.m.
License plate 4 Henry Victor Zebra 685, 5 Kelly Paul Bob 083, Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue. Engaging in what is criminal surveillance with the entity that is stalking me and threatening me with war tactics, yes, such as stalking by helicopter, as this entity is engaging what is surveillance and surveillance of the evidence proving that they are keeping me under surveillance, and they do so with the intent to obstruct justice, while the entity is conspicuously stalking at the Ontario Town Square while the fake sun is over me in Pomona, the fake sun's over me in Montclair, the fake sun's over me at the Andy's Burgers, the B&G Plaza, where the Ontario Town Square has the fake sun over me, where in that video yesterday at 9:46 a.m. it's in the position behind my back as I am facing that fake sun after getting off of public transportation, where I'm kept under surveillance on the roads and the highways, which is also a threat to your life. License 7YFJ516, 5KDP021, 08885U3, that's priority. Landscaping, their license number 990920. And that's what you're going to prosecute, and it's going to be a matter of public information, all the means of surveillance by the government, conspiring your murder. 9 Kelly Yolanda Mary 844, they're all stalking together with that police department. They're all threatening together with that third party. 7 Zebra 58427. 84794 Uncle 3, 7 Robert Edward Sam 621, 6 Larry Victor Thomas 616, P.O.C. Alrighty, the city of Ontario, that's already built into the pattern of conduct. Literally, the mayor in the city is threatening my life and safety and is engaged in war tactics with that agency that's engaged in gang stalking. That's also why that mayor's not staying in office. Okay, this is domestic terrorism by revealed domestic enemies of the United States engaging in criminal surveillance and facilitating even immigrants to keep us under surveillance. That is directly hostile to what are the interests of American citizens of the United States of America in particular as well. Okay, P.O.C. The entity is maintaining ongoing light activity around the perimeter. That's the entity that's gang stalking. West Coast Arborists, gang stalking businesses. I already have their information on the record. The entity is doing so while that airport that's going to be shut down is engaging in ongoing surveillance to that audible activity, light activity. All right? They're all surrounded by evidence. This is how you're understanding the overarching purpose of my documentation, because they're already all surrounded. The fake sun is over me, and it's in Pomona while you're, again, ostensibly minding your business landscaping. 6LVT616 stalking, and doing so with impunity. The entity is engaging in that, and this is what Taylor is engaging in as an employee at the OVITT Family Community Library, engaging in surveillance just like Starbucks, engaging in criminal summoning just like Starbucks. And the OVITT Family Community Library engaging in surveillance of evidence where they're engaging in what is obstruction of justice. 9L, let me get this demon's license plate. This is a Caucasian female stalking. License 9LQX591 P.O.C. It is the OVITT Family Community Library is engaged in surveillance, and I've been capturing it for years, by the way. But they're doing so while they maintain that same stalking system inside of the venue, with that same agency stalking me by helicopter. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct. And that's the mental illness, that's the malice of the entity, the employees that you hear gang stalking, waiting for me to enter, while all they're doing is pacing. This is the mentally ill that eat their own feces. All right, that's the mentally ill that eat their own feces, and they're employed at the OVITT Family Community Library, gang stalking, P.O.C. It's 10:09 a.m. What will never be erased from the record is the fake sunrise and the fake sunset at the OVITT Family Community Library, where demons that eat their own feces assemble at the computer stations where they're obsessively stalking me with bad wigs and everything. P.O.C. It's 10:09 a.m.
Mike LORENZ, that's his name. He's going to prison. Let me see. Yeah, his name is Derek Williams, and it's Mike LORENZ. All right, that is audible activity, light activity. This oversized Latina female, this is a homosexual predator. This is a demon. These are the light-slinging demons that eat their own feces, that are stalking obsessively, stalking me outside while I'm sleeping at the bus stop, stalking me while I am sitting at the computer, stalking me while I am walking from place to place, stalking me while I'm aboard public transportation, stalking me as I go from city to city. This is, again, the criminal activity shared by what is Jason Reed. This is the city of Montclair that is gang stalking as I show you the fake sun over me at 5 in the evening at a random Starbucks that I stop at, where the pattern of conduct is underway. This is the pattern of conduct while this overweight Latina female has a shadow behind her and a shadow to the side. That's perpendicular, impossible light activity while she is stalking in the path on behalf of the sex offender, the feces eater himself, Mike LORENZ, who has that agency stalking me by helicopter under a whole fake sun that is not in that position yesterday at the same time or before that time, speaking to the specific environment which is inside of the bathroom at the OVITT Family Community Library. This is a sex offender that is acting via proxy while predators enter in and out of the bathroom to maintain surveillance in an absurd manner that federal law has never before contemplated. And Mike LORENZ is going to prison for it. It is, in fact, his sexual violence that the sex offenders are engaging in this criminal system in the first place. And it is currently 2:54 p.m. This is criminal violence shared by Securitas, who is inside, Dylan, the light slinger. He's monitoring my vagina in this bathroom as well, while the entity enters in to engage in monitoring me, speaking to what is mental illness and obsession. The entity's doing so while gang stalking by a whole population of demons that are inside, all at the same time listening to me together, monitoring together, and entering through. Remember, this is demon possession. So not only a sex offender, but a demon-possessed sex offender, representing all of the demons whom are acting uniformly through one, through all. That's the reality of the Nephilim that are monitoring my vagina. It is currently 2:54, 2:55 p.m. This is bathroom monitoring at the OVITT so-called Family Community Library. It's a facilitating venue. This is P.O.C. Who's calling me? 8:31 p.m. And combining what is used on my device, phone number from 909-704-7324. That is Benjamin, the Latino male that is engaged in bathroom monitoring as the entity is maintaining surveillance, maintaining presence in the bathroom. As I get off of the elevator, this is a demon that knows where you're at. This is a demon that's acting as an entity, so it's not just a demon that's in the bathroom, it's the demons that are surrounding. That is not coincidental activity creation as I get off the elevator. The moment that I step off the elevator, that's called alignment in the path.
at the hand dryer inside of the restroom, where that hand dryer sounds, which is audible activity, and what you already know is engineer light inside of that bathroom, and what you also know is engineer light inside of the library, where they're all walking around, which is pacing by demons who are monitoring. This is bathroom monitoring, and this is, again, a group effort. And calling my phone is a part of monitoring while they know that they're being documented. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's 8:32 a.m., another iteration of the same sex offense, monitoring. This is the gang violence for which the corrupt leaders in Ontario and the state are going to be prosecuted, and it is centered around the target individual's genitalia. This is understanding that the demon-possessed are sexually violent and perverted and predators, and it is also relevant to specifically the gang leader, Mike Lorenz, and those gang members, the Ontario police, who are monitoring to this obsessive stalking that's centered around the bathroom. They're literally pacing in vehicles, pacing in the sky space while these demons are inside of the library with regard to gang stalking me inside and en route to the bathroom. This is very demonic, and it's terrorism while people are going to that extent to keep you under surveillance. P.O.C. It's 8:33 p.m.